شخصيات ناجحة. الشخصية الناجحة تحتاج لهدف تعمل من أجله. هناك شخصيات ناجحة بدأت من الصفر، بل من أقل من الصفر. ليست شخصيات غربية، بل هي شخصيات عربية. الشيخ سليمان الراجحي من شخص لم يكمل تعليمه، عمل حمالا ثم طباخا ثم موطن، إلى أن أسس شركة الراجحي للصرافة، والآن هو من ضمن قائمة المليارديرات العرب حسب التصنيف العالمي لمجلة فوربس الأمريكية عن أغنياء العالم. نزار شقير من صاحب محل حلويات متواضع في شارع الحمراء في بيروت، إلى محال تنتشر في مختلف أرجاء العالم عبر شركة باتشي للشوكولات ومستلزمات المائدة، إلى أهم الأسماء التجارية في عالم الأعمال. الشيخ صالح كامل من موظف حكومي فمعقب فمقاول إلى مستثمر ورجل أعمال أسس مجموعة دل البركة، إلى أكبر شركة في تنوع استثماراتها التجارية والاقتصادية. علي النعيمي من عامل ثم موظف إلى مهندس ليكون أول سعودي يترأس شركة أرامكو، ثم وزير بترول في بلاده ليصبح أحد العقليات الباهرة في أوبك. رامي أبو غزالة من مديونيات وخسائر مالية وأزمة كمبيالات إلى مشغل مطاعم ناجح، عمل بنفسه وخلع الثوب ولبس زي المطاعم، إلى صاحب سلسلة مطاعم البيك التي صنفت من ضمن أكثر 10 ماركات تجارية رضا بين السعوديين، وأفضل مطاعم الفاست فود في العالم كما صنفته CNN. أحمد زويل من تلميذ يدرس في مدينة دمنهور بجمهورية مصر العربية حيث بدأ حياته، ثم محاضر يلف العالم، ثم عالم يفوز بجائزة بنيامين فرانكلي ويكتشف الفيتو ثانية، ثم جائزة نوبل في الكيمياء ليكون أول عالم عربي مسلم يفوز بتلك الجائزة في الكيمياء. طلال أبو غزالة من لاجئ فلسطيني يعيش في لبنان حياة المخيمات إلى أبرز رجال الأعمال وصاحب مؤسسة أبو غزالة العالمية التي يعمل في خدمتها ما يقارب 2000 مهني من خلال 72 فرعا بالإضافة إلى 150 مكتب تمثيل يغطي كل المدن الرئيسية في العالم. فالنجاح لا يعرف جنس أو لون أو عمر ولا غني أو فقير، بل يعرف فقط من يريد أن يصل له. أنت نعم.
Abdul Hamid Sharaf School was begun in 1980. And it was named after the late Sharif Abdul Hamid Sharaf, who was Prime Minister at the time, and he passed away in 1980. My late father and late mother founded the school in 1980, and my mother, Dr. Dahdah, worked as the director for many, many years until she passed away last year. The school is a co-educational school, kindergarten through 12th grade. We teach in Arabic and English, but our primary curriculum is an English one using American textbooks as well as British textbooks. After grade 8, students may choose to continue in the American program, or they may choose to continue in the British IGCSE program, where they both learn most of their subjects in English. Subjects like Arabic, of course, and religion are taught in Arabic language. This is the 45th year of operation of the school. When it first began, it was quite different from now. It was much easier to teach children then. There were no cell phones, there was no internet. Children were used to playing with normal children's toys and bicycles, and the streets had much fewer cars then. Now there are so many cars in Amman. It's not safe for children to leave the home and go play the way they used to. Fun for children now is Xbox or using their cell phones. Children are not the same as they used to be. Oh yes. So much has changed for the child, but not enough has changed for the teacher. The teacher has difficulty maintaining the attention of her students or his students. The children get bored quickly. Their attention is not what it should be. When you want the child to pay attention, he is so very easily distracted. Any noise, or his friend says something, or whatever, he's immediately used to responding. He's not used to, the child is not used to being calm and quiet and listening the way he should be. We began several years ago emphasizing more group work, because learning is not only about listening, but learning is about children sitting together, discussing, working on problems, answering questions, reading together. So we have a good element of group work in our classrooms, and some element of quiet time as well, where the student needs to work on his own from his textbook or workbook. And of course, there's time when they need to listen to their teachers to explain material. So different strategies have to be used. We cannot depend only on the teacher speaking the entire lesson. This is completely inappropriate and does not work well anymore. Thank you for that. I will not take much credit. I only take a small amount of credit. The biggest thanks is for the teacher in the classroom. The teacher in the classroom has a much more difficult job now than before, because behavior, as I said, the behavior of students has changed very much. They have become used to depend on their cell phones, and any school which has banned the cell phone in the classroom is working correctly. To be honest, only this year we decided that we will ban the presence of the cell phone with the students at school, and we began from the first day of school this year, and
this is the first year?
This is the first time we banned the cell phone. Before, the students had their cell phones. The teachers, of course, would ask them to put the cell phone away, put it in your bag, or turn it on silent. But this is the first year that we collect the telephones in the first lesson, at the beginning of the first lesson, and we store it in a safe box in the classroom, and the student only takes the telephone at the end of the day. This has made an improvement, not a huge improvement, because fortunately we were able to teach even if the students had their cell phone. But it is much better for the student not to have the phone with them. They don't need it. Concerning behavior, as I said, the job is much more difficult for teachers today, because they must be very attentive to how the students are behaving. Sadly, I think too many teachers are forced either to be mean or to cause problems for misbehaving students, and the relationship between teachers and students, it should be stronger. It isn't as strong as it used to be. There's a lack of trust among many students. Probably the oldest of our students probably lose trust, not just with the teacher, with the entire educational system. I feel many students don't trust the educational system anymore. They don't see the value of what they are learning. It doesn't apply to their lives as we would hope. The information we're trying to teach them, for many students, they don't see the point. What is the point of learning this? I don't need it, he thinks. I feel that our students accepted our decision to ban the cell phone presence, and we didn't encounter very much resistance. We also asked the cooperation of the parents. Of course, the students' parents needed to be told in advance, and we asked for their help to prepare their children, to tell them that the school will be taking your cell phone at the beginning of the day. The objective for us, I think, is for the student not to bring it in the first place. We would rather the student does not bring the phone in the first place. However, there are students who need the phone to order an Uber or a Kareem taxi.
So for that I ask you, like, how they...
Fortunately, we don't have a problem. They can order it at 2 o'clock when they receive the telephone. They can order their ride, and the problem is solved. Another advantage is the student cannot order food delivery to school. Last year we had, or in the previous years, starting during Corona, we had a little bit of a problem where students would order food and have it delivered to school, and we would have to confiscate it and keep it with us until the correct time during their break. Then we would give it to them at break time. This is all kind of a waste of administrative time. So fortunately, we don't have this problem now. Another problem we don't have is many times a student would go to the bathroom and take the telephone and call the parents and tell the parents there's no one here, there's no one in the classroom today, come and take me. And we have no idea. A few minutes later, a father arrives. He wants to take his daughter or his son, and we don't know why. This problem is also finished. No student can call the parent and say, I want to come home, or I want to go somewhere. This, fortunately, is finished. A great advantage. The student is at school when he should be at school. I suspect that most schools in Amman solved this problem before we did. We have been a little bit late with that. It wasn't a big problem. No. We had matters under control, but now the student is much better off because the cell phone is not distracting him from his work. Thank you for asking that. It is a very sensitive topic, and so many of the parents in Amman have to worry about paying tuition for their children at schools. The tuition for a private school education has become more and more difficult for the parents in Amman to afford. Education is not as affordable as it should be. It's unfortunate. Keep in mind that all schools must pay salaries to teachers, to maintenance staff, to administrative staff, to bus drivers. There are many salaries that must be paid. The tuition should be sufficient to cover all of those expenses. Schools also need to renovate. They need to paint walls and chairs and tables yearly. In the summertime is a good time for the maintenance. So many expenditures that schools have in order to maintain a certain standard for the families. I fear that there needs to be some control placed on schools to limit the maximum tuition that could be charged. Of course, this is a private sector, and we work according to supply and demand. However, I do feel that too many of our private schools are charging too much for the tuition. But if I've understood your questions, it's something about how does the school operate with the government regulations and things like that?
Yeah, of course.
The Ministry of Education for the private school sector oversees our school and many private schools in Amman. We try to apply their regulations here at school in so many ways, including a number of lessons per week we must teach for each subject. Okay. We need to satisfy that requirement. We need to satisfy the hiring of staff requirements. If a teacher has the correct qualifications or not, we have to follow the Ministry of Education guidelines. There are some demands that are very hard to meet. For example, when the Ministry of Education requires additional subjects to be introduced into the curriculum, and that has happened over the past few years. Certain subjects were added to the curriculum like national education or Jordan history. These are very important topics that were not required before, but they had to be introduced into the curriculum. What problem did that cause for our school? Our day is from 8 until 2 o'clock for students, and our day has traditionally been divided into 7 periods. So by requiring more and more subjects, our day, there's a lot of pressure, more pressure on students and teachers. Less free time during the day. We used to use the free time for activities, sometimes for trips, sometimes to do more vocational activities, building things in the workshop, or artistic things, music. There's less and less time for subjects like music and art and vocational, which is not good. We could even cooking. There's a demand for children to learn something about how to prepare food, how to work, to do gardening, things that are practical for their lives. There isn't time for that because of the other constraints. Maybe the school day should become longer. When you make the school day longer to satisfy all those requirements, then you have to pay more salary for your staff. And some children don't arrive home until very late. There are private schools in Amman when I know that children don't arrive home until 5:30, maybe 6 o'clock. Add sports. I didn't mention sports. So the day has become very long for many students. My late mother did not want the school day to be too long, and we still have a short school day, probably shorter than many other schools. 8 till 2 o'clock. If there are activities after school, we can do that. I apologize, I didn't exactly answer the question about the Ministry of Education. We salute King Abdullah and Queen Rania, Your Majesties. Thank you for your support of the country, the educational system, the citizens of Jordan, and most importantly in this sad time, we salute your support for the Palestinian brothers and sisters in Gaza and in the West Bank. And we know how hard you are working to secure their safety and an end to the hostilities. Thank you very much, and God protect you and your families.